There's a guy that doesn't get. I never mention his name. I never mention Seth on these. Seth Noseworthy, our front of house engineer, who also edits these podcasts.
He'll edit that out just because you gave him a shout out.
No, we call him Nose. And anyway,
what else did you pay him to do?
I tried to pay him. He bought this Fortnite costume, like a $9 job from Target,
a onesie,
and he wore it during a show. He's out in the front of the house, so he's the guy that stands by the console in the front. And he had this ridiculous, like, adult-sized child's costume on. So I told him I'd pay him to wear it for the rest of the tour. And we haven't come to terms yet, but we're talking about it.
No, you did come to terms.
Two beers.
You just didn't want to take it. He said 2 beers and a half a joint.
2 beers and a half a joint.
I told him today when he got here, I was like, dude, you had Cody at his mercy, and you didn't even take advantage.
Oh, all right. Shout out to Nose. We love you, Nose. Right. Okay. To my right, as always, Bobby Keith Kilgore. To my left, per usual,
yeah.
Josh Thompson. And we're without Hot Rod today. He is with his sweetheart. And to Bobby Keith's right, our special guest for today,
esteemed,
very esteemed. Songwriting, singing guru, has his own show at the Exit Inn, has so many hits that we're going to have to talk about. Mr. Kendell Marvel.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm good.
I guess it really is morning.
I think
for us musicians.
Here's how you start these things out.
And that's it right there.
There we go.
And that's it. I forgot to say we're a couple in, because we're a couple in.
Still foaming from the carrying of the backpack.
Yeah,
backpack beers.
Okay, so we had a short night because we jumped on the bus last night. We're in Nashville, Tennessee right now. It's about 1:00, and we had to haul ass here, drop the buses off to get service, get all this stuff set up. We're sitting in our hotel room, which I'm sure we'll talk about, my hotel room. But
I mean, it's the Graduate.
It's the Graduate. It's nice.
It's unlike hotels I stay in on the road.
That's what I was going to say.
Name one difference.
You had
price.
No, these are pretty. We got a good deal, I heard.
I mean, you just got in.
I did.
And you just got in, and you're going to sleep in your bed tonight, and then you're leaving again tomorrow.
Come home.
Where were you at?
See the wife for a conjugal visit and visit with her.
That's what I call them too, right?
Yeah. I come in from South Carolina and then heading to the nice, sunny, warm weather of Minneapolis.
Oh, that's where we just came from.
Yeah, just there. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
No, they're
it's Minneapolis, Madison, Chicago, Creve, LeCure. I'm not even sure how you say it. Louisville, home for 2 days, then Alaska.
Are you doing this whole run with Hauser or just the Alaska run?
No, this is our first little headlining run. Those 5 days, I said I'm just doing Alaska with Hauser.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're not going to be gone too terribly long.
No.
Let's dive into the fun stuff, the dirt.
Boy.
I found so much dirt on you.
Oh, it's out there, I'm sure.
I called so many people that you have pissed off.
Now that I can believe. Yeah.
You've been here a long time.
22 years. Be 22 years this summer.
Quick math, Bobby Keith.
It's 20 now, so that's like 2002.
98.
No, 98.
That would be 18 years ago, my friend.
Yeah, jeez, man.
Jeez.
Can't put me on the spot.
He's like that little guy on Jimmy Kimmel. What's that little guy Jimmy Kimmel has?
Guillermo?
Guillermo. He's Guillermo, isn't
he? Yeah. Oh man. So you have a really unusual story, and I know that you've told this story a million times. Something really unique happened in your career when you first moved out here. The first day you were here, you wrote, dare to say, one of the biggest songs of the last 25 years.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky.
Yeah, can you tell me about that and how to do something like that?
Well, if I knew how to do it consistently, I probably wouldn't be out there hitting the road near as much. I'd be sitting here cashing checks. But man, I moved here in July of '98, and I had a pretty good little regional following where I grew up in Southern Illinois, which is about 3 hours northwest of here. And played music, all my life. That's all I'd ever done. And kind of got tired of that and burned out and had a couple youngins. My dad gave me a job. I worked at a tire factory for a little while up there, General Tire in Mount Vernon, Illinois. And he gave me a gig. Him and his wife inherited this mom and pop motel up there in Marion, Illinois. And he said, "Won't you work for me and I'll give you," he knew I still wanted to come down here. I was 28, getting on the older side to up and move and try something, Or I felt like I was old at the time. Looking now, I was just a baby, 28. But so he let me work for him. Then he'd give me a day or two a week to come down here. And that lasted for a little while. And then he finally said, "Why don't you just move and I'll pay you for a year, keep you on the payroll." So I said, "All right." And like a dumbass, I told him, I said, "Well, here's the deal. If I get any, so I, learned a little bit about publishing, about songs, and had met some songwriters and started writing songs." He said, I said, "If I get anything recorded for that first year while you're paying me, I'll give you the publishing on it." And well, like I said, that bit me in the ass, because
You don't say.
I wrote my first hit.
And the song is
Right Where I Need to Be for Gary Allen.
Yeah, which was absolutely huge.
It was a huge hit. Yeah. It was a 50-week number 3 song, I think 2 or 3, whatever it went to. It was top 5, and sold a couple million records. And Dad, he took his $400,000 or $500,000 and bought him a house down the Keys.
Jeez.
Wow. Yeah. Lesson to young artists: publishing is where the money is at.
That was my actual go-to karaoke song.
Is that right?
I mean,
I wish we had a karaoke machine here, because I would like to hear that.
Loved that song growing up. So was that a blessing or a curse to walk in basically your first day?
Oh my God, how could it be a curse? I mean, it's like I didn't have to get a gig. You know what I mean? Most songwriters, you move here and you work a job or two and you try to write at nighttime. And, when all the other professional songwriters, they ain't writing at nighttime. They're writing, in the daytime and going home with their families at nighttime. So, yeah, I mean, there's no way they could be a curse. It was like, yeah, I mean, the next one took a little longer.
Was there pressure?
I made enough money on that one.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to hang on.
Okay, all right. That was really the question. It's like, so yeah, after that, it's like, well, was there still money coming in, or
Oh hell yeah, there was a bunch of money coming, more money than I'd ever seen. There for a while.
So there wasn't a whole lot of pressure on you to.
No, I mean, you kind of you build yourself up to that, and then you start writing with people who'd had a lot of success, and you want to have more than one. When you go do a show or something, everybody else playing 5 or 6 hits, you don't want to be the guy to. I shouldn't say you don't want to be the guy, because everybody wants a hit song, but
sure,
you want more than one to play. That's for sure.
No doubt. Let's talk records. And correct me if I'm wrong. October 2017 is when Low Down and Lonesome came out. Mm-hmm. Keith Gaddis produced that one.
He did, yeah.
And for anybody listening to this show, if you don't have that record, get that record. That's not what I want to talk about right now. I want to talk about your new record, Solid Gold Sounds, which came out October of last year, 19.
Yep.
Which we're just 3 or 4 months removed.
A few months ago, yeah.
So we actually listened to the record a couple times on the bus last night, and we're taking notes. You have some really cool, almost like old school rhythm and blues stuff going on, and it really showcases your voice.
Yeah,
I
think that record showcases it more so than Low Down and Lonesome did.
Agreed.
Low Down was more of an angsty, honky tonk in your face grit, which I love. That's cut my teeth on that stuff. When I went to make this record, Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys produced that record. Him and Dave Ferguson, who Dave produces Tyler Childers and Sturgill and Margot Price, some of them folks. They wanted to showcase that a little more, and they knew I was a better singer than what they had heard. They thought I was. Like, man, we heard you sing, and why don't you sing a little easier, be a little more croonery on some of this stuff, not every song. And they had me singing in a lot lower key than I normally would have. I normally would have been honking in that microphone, like you do live,
Yeah.
And in the studio, and Auerbach's, he's sharp, he was like, man, let's let that microphone do the work. You don't have to sing like that in here. Which I knew that, but I was just so used to doing it. And I was like, hey, did you hear my first record? When we started doing this stuff, and he was like, yeah, I heard your first record. He said, you don't want to do that again, do you? It hit me pretty heavy. And I was like, nah, you're right. I don't want to do that again. I've already done that record. Let's do something different. So it was a whole different set of dudes. I mean, the guys he uses on his records are, it's the old Memphis crew, from Chips Moman days. They played on everything from in the ghetto to Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues to Pretty Woman. I mean, them guys, he brought them basically out of retirement. Nobody was using those old dudes anymore. I mean, the youngest guy in the band saw the Beatles. That's the drummer's 80.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that drummer's 80 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like, holy shit, these old dudes still got it. I mean, why are people not using these dudes? You know, people say, man, I want just to sound retro. Them guys are retro. They started that shit. Like, why are you trying to sound it? Just get those guys.
Yeah.
You know, what's the hell's the matter with y'all?
God, that's awesome.
So that's, and I like that you brought up your vocals because I kind of wanted to go there, even though Cody mentioned Low Down and Lonesome, because personally, I've seen you a couple of times. There was the
we were Stagecoach
out there at Stagecoach, you know, and I saw you do, and you know, Cody, he actually live vocally, he reminds me a lot of Tom McIlvaine.
Yeah,
you know,
he
just
does.
You know, I mean, you can
like two of the hardest singing.
I mean,
guys live,
and it's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. But what really, so that's what I had in my head because. Sure. That's what Low Down and Lonesome was. But when you did Solid Country Sounds.
Solid Gold Sounds. Get your shit together, man.
Damn it.
Man, you do it.
I was trying to go off the top of my head. Solid Gold Sounds. There was that side of you that I was like, I did not know that you could do that.
Right.
And I thought it was really cool. And from the producer side of things, I was like, you know what? That's really cool that Dan was able to see that in you and bring that out of you. And I mean, just how has that changed the way that you've gone about things? I mean, that's only been, 6 months ago or so.
Sure.
So
live, I mean, especially, we're doing a lot of the new record and most of the old records. So we've still got that in your face honky tonk stuff, but
for sure,
it saves my voice. When you're doing 3, 4, 5 nights in a row, if you sing Low Down and Lonesome over and over, man, that wears on you. That wears on an old man. And so it's a hell of a lot easier to sing live. Some of it's a little harder to play because we had a little bigger band than what we did on the last one. But we're getting there.
I just remember listening, to that record and thinking and laughing to myself, thinking he's a fucking way better singer than most of the people he's been pitching songs to for the past 20 fucking years.
Well, I moved here being an artist, and that didn't, the songwriting thing just took off. Like I said, immediately for me. And my kids were little, and not that I didn't want an artist deal because I had a little deal at RCA for a minute, and nothing just ever panned out. And probably there was a reason for that. I was young and probably an idiot. I probably would have just been a fool and screwed it up.
Yeah.
So now that I'm old enough to know better, I think that's the way it works out.
Care. I mean, I don't know.
Sing it, Guillermo.
So I've heard you mention that a few times. The kids are grown now, and now I guess a lot of ways, you work with your daughter now.
I do. Yeah, she manages me. Yeah.
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 Just talk about that.
She's part of that True Grit. She's part of that True Grit family. And
yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to fire her, if she don't do her job. But
Dad.
No, yeah, exactly. It's not only that. It's mom's in my ear over here too. Like, you can't fire her. That's our kid.
Yeah.
Oh hell. So yeah. But no, it's been great. It's been great. Yeah.
And the True Grit thing, you coming on. Like you said today, to the dark side.
To the dark side, that's right. To the, like as you said, the land of misfit toys.
The land of misfit toys. That's exactly that's what we have. So, it's a fairly recent development.
Yeah, so. January 1st, yeah.
Yeah, very cool stuff, man.
Back to that Gary Allen song. It peaked at number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Yep, I knew it was up there somewhere.
Man. Which I also read that was the longest charting song for the decade of the 2000s.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think I did a little research, and I think that's the
the charts will scare you to death as a songwriter because you try not to watch them, every week when they come out, but you can't help yourself. You like
okay, so and one other thing, because one other thing that I want researching that song, apparently that was a underground swell. That wasn't even the single. It was. Right. Were you aware that that was?
I knew there was a
on?
couple radio stations playing it. Apparently on Billboard there was a rule. I don't know if it's still a rule or not, but if it goes negative spins for 2 weeks in a row, they have to pull it. That station does, and for like a month, and then they can play it again. Well, some Texas stations, I think maybe Houston, Dallas, couple of those big markets down there started playing that song before it was a single, and it lost its bullet, and then they had to quit playing it, and that probably cost it from being a little bigger hit than what it might have went 2, 1, whatever. But money ain't no different, Ain't no difference between 5 and 1,
Absolutely.
really in paychecks. So,
And title tracks, you got a couple of those.
I've been pretty blessed with the title tracks. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You just know how to write those hits, man.
Well,
I mean, that Lonesome song.
yeah, that's one of my favorites, man. That's when I play live. I'll do a little segment in the middle of my show where I'll do a couple tunes that I've written for other people, and I exclude.
Yeah, that's when you steal the show.
I exclude some hits.
Yeah.
To play stuff like that Lonesome song and Hard Living for Chris Stapleton. Stuff that's really cool. I leave a couple hits out of there just to play that stuff because I love it. And
you
the
need to
people do
leave
as
a
well.
couple more out whenever somebody's doing a song swap with you, because whenever you start ripping out your hits, I know firsthand. I can tell you this happened.
Well, let's go there.
Yeah. Well, Alaska. We were in Alaska this last summer. We got invited up. I did it for $75.
Is that what Art told you?
I charged. He says, "Hey, come up." He said he got me with going fishing. He said, "We can go up and you're right outside of Anchorage, and we're gonna go king salmon fishing." Right? I said, "Okay, cool." And I knew my manager Arthur was gonna fight me on this because I wasn't making $80. I was only making $75. And I said, "Well, no, Art." I said, "Let's go." I said, "You need to go with me." So we caught a flight up there, and this is a funny story, too. We had Kendell and his lovely wife, Randa, were already at the fish camp. We were to fly out via float plane, those planes that take off and land on water, scary-looking little bastards. So we were to take one of those the next morning. And on our plane was Ken Peltier, singer-songwriter out of Alaska.
Native Alaskan, yeah.
Native Alaskan, hell of a nice guy, awesome guy. Me, my manager Arthur, Joe Nichols, and his wife, Heather.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. You remember names really good, by the way.
I was thinking about this story too, because I hadn't thought much about it, because it's kind of things you try to push out of your head. Because we look at that plane and Joe turns around and goes, "Hope you guys aren't the others today." And we're like, what are you talking about? He goes, "Well, if we go down, it's going to say Joe Nichols and others die in float plane, crash." It lightened the mood a little bit.
That's awesome.
But no, we had a good time, man. I whipped your ass fishing.
You're full of shit.
I did. Oh, and you just talked so much shit.
What it is, now let me tell you the truth. If you see me and Jinx standing next to each other and you see me
what
catch
had
a fish,
happened was,
and you see Jinx catch a fish, it just looks bigger when he holds it.
Compared to you.
This is true.
Yeah. Kind of like taking a whiz next to each other. Same thing. It looks bigger when Jinx has a hold. He's such a little fella.
I'm catching 10-pounders that look like his 30-pounders, because
Exactly.
we're
Little hands.
No,
Little hands.
I really did, because Arthur, we went out. Golly, see, that's what it was like on the boat with him. That's
Constant.
It's
See,
all
now-
it was. It's
now
all
we're
it was.
getting in-
Was just
yeah.
absolute, just shit talking when we were on the boat fishing. Shit talking around the campfire at night, which was another strange phenomenon to me,
There was no night.
because the sun never went down.
Exactly.
So you're sitting out there drinking beer, and you look at your watch. You're like, "Oh shit, it's 2."
That's right. We get up and I get drinking. My wife say, "When you going to bed?" I said, "When it gets dark, I'm going to bed." So
Yeah.
there's not much going to bed.
No, it tripped me
And
out.
we actually, much as we give shit about the fishing, we fished Art under the table. Poor Art. I think he kept catching the jacks. They
the
call
jacks, which are kind of
them.
like
like carp.
the little.
Yeah, they're like carp of the Yetna River.
the carp of the salmon.
Exactly.
And it's like you don't even want to touch those. You just kind of try
That's
to hit them on
slimy,
the side of
yeah.
the boat and get them off the hook. But we did. We had a good time doing that, man. That was really a lot of fun, and we
Yeah.
all caught big fish, and it was I couldn't take any home. They were on a conservation year.
Retention. I think
Retention,
they call it.
retention year. So I couldn't take any
Yeah,
home.
I think this year there's not going to be. So we got to find I'm going, obviously, but we got to find a way to get you back up there this year where we can
I mean, you might as well
bring
take
some
fish
home. Money.
Hey,
He's over here doing
$100
this.
this year.
Money.
It'd be
Hey,
$100.
I'm all about it. I want to make more too. That ain't my money.
No, it's funny too because that was my first like live bear experience because I didn't believe there were actually bears back behind the camp, but there were 2 bears, which I was told were the equivalent of teenagers.
Yeah.
They were kind of mischievous, and they're like, "Hey, Cody, bears are back there," and I'd go trampsing off back there.
And Art was like, "Cody, don't go back there."
Art's like, "Cody, they're real bears," and I'm like, "Art, they're fucking with me. They're not real bears. There's not any real bears back here." Okay, I was like, "Come on," and like I go up, and I'm just like, "Holy shit, that's a real bear." And Art's like, "Cody, come back."
Yeah,
like trying to reel in a 5-year-old. Don't go any closer.
Well, he knows where his bread's buttered. Hell, he don't want his damn cash cow to get eaten.
Oh man, gosh,
You know what's funny? I didn't realize that about black bears either because I always worry about grizzly or brown bear. When I'm up there in that country. But one of the guys up there, the fishing guy, was like, a grizzly or a brown bear will run at you, try to scare you off. They don't want to particularly attack you. He said, but a black bear, if a black bear ever charges, they're coming to eat you. He's like, they're not running at you to scare you.
Yeah.
And black bear's I guess the only bear that does that. It's like, well, that's good to know because some of them don't get very big. Like, oh, look at that little cute little bear over there. There was a couple did you get up one morning and see them up in the tree?
They're in the tree. I got pictures of
yeah.
them. Yeah.
They'd shake that damn tree and have that whole fir tree, man, just rocking. You think, man, that looks like a little bear, but
no.
That little dude right there put a hurt on her down the whole
It
country.
kind of sounds like a bar fight.
Yeah. Like a bar fight with a badass dude. What it would be.
I'm just talking about like I'm not going to mess with the little guy.
Yeah, he's not as little as he looks in the tree.
They're not because they think just like a teenage sized bear. Like that bear probably weighs 175, 200 pounds.
Sure.
Big enough for me to look at it and go, no.
Yeah, I don't want no part of that.
I'm not getting any closer than that.
Especially a teenager.
I just had this question for you.
Well, I'm thinking of it. You said a while ago about Joe Nichols and others in a plane, or in a plane thing.
Yeah,
that made me think of when I first moved here. I got to write for 3 days in a row with Harlan Howard, and actually we've done more drinking than we did anything. But Harlan's probably the best, most known songwriter of all time.
Sure,
wrote so many great songs, and his son Perry worked at BMI for years with writer rep over there, and Perry used to drive Harlan around because Harlan would get shit-faced, and he always had a big long car, and he'd ride in the back seat. Perry would drive him, and he told me the story. He said they pulled out on Hillsborough Road here one day and pulled out in front of somebody, and just about got hit. And Harlan said, "God damn it, son, I can just read the headlines tomorrow. Famous songwriter, unknown driver killed in crash."
Yeah. Same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Same thing, yeah. Joe Nichols and others. Well, and the 3 singers are looking at each other like, oh, shit. My question was, this is a serious question. It's time to be serious in part of the interview. Like the Barbara Walters portion, where I'm going to try to,
interesting.
Sure,
really get down to it. In the Hard Time with the Truth video, what's in that box?
Man, that's the truth.
The truth is
You're burying the truth.
Well, yeah.
Okay, well then
haven't you seen Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
When he got that suitcase and
he opens it up
and nobody knows what's in that suitcase.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's what.
So my second question is, why didn't you bury it deeper? You only buried that motherfucker like that deep.
Because I might need to dig it back up again.
No, you need to dig a deeper hole for the truth, man.
You seen me sweating. It was hotter than hell. That's as deep as that hole was going.
I mean, I was like, really? That's like you're going to go through this whole video and you got this badass old looking case and you don't know what's in it and you're going to dig a shoebox size hole for it. Come on, man.
Matter of fact, I didn't even dig the hole. The guys who done the video, I was like, I ain't going out there and digging that damn hole.
You could have got at least
You're getting paid
gallon
for this
of water and at least soften that thing up a little bit.
No kidding. And it was hot. It was July, and it was 100 degrees outside. It was the worst day possible to do a video. And of course, they was like, "Hey, wear that black Levi jacket," and I was like, "It's 100 damn degrees."
So where was it at?
That was out in Mount Juliet, out at the Bradley barn, actually, where Owen Bradley. He cut so many records out there. It was just a famous, very famous studio back in the day.
Sometimes you just got to let it go.
Oh my goodness,
that's what he does.
Are you quoting my songs?
That's what Which I think George Strait should cut that song.
Hey, by God, if George Strait wants to cut any of my songs, he's welcome to any of them.
Like I heard that song and I was like, George Strait could go with that, man.
What about Twang? You can talk about Twang.
Twang, George Strait's title track.
Yeah, and that was actually a single and a decent little hit. I wrote that with Jimmy Ritchie and Jim Lauderdale. And Jim's one of my favorite
Jim's awesome.
singer-songwriters. And
Super nice guy, too.
oh, he's one of the best guys in the world. You know, one of the strangest individuals I've been around in my life.
He's unique.
Oh, he's very unique.
Yeah.
And I call him Weirdo Jim all the time. He'd show up to write in these velour sweat clothes, like looked like his 1972.
Like Conway Twitty used to wear?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'd have that hair, just... And I'd always say, Jim, you got a capo up in that hair or a tuner? I'd just be messing with him
Got
all the
something
time.
up in there.
And he's a wild man. He
He's
came in
always
one time,
looking-
me and him and Angelina Presley from Ypsilantis, I was writing a song, and he had lost his voice. So you ever write a song with somebody who can't speak with a mute? And it's pretty strange. He would just write stuff out with a Sharpie on this little marker board he had. And we'd have to say, I don't like that. It makes for a long day, writing with somebody who can't speak.
Yeah, but you got to figure if you can get one out of that, you think, what a unique experience.
I wrote a bunch of songs with Lauderdale, and he's a unique individual.
Yeah.
One of my favorite guys to write with.
I still have a run sheet we did, what was that show that we did that he was hosting? It was on TV.
Music
Oh,
City
Music
City
City
Roots.
Roots.
Oh, yeah.
That's how we met Nose.
Yeah, that's how we
Anyway,
met
sorry.
our front of house engineer too. But I still have the run sheet that Jim had given me that night for a song that we were doing together because we did a Merle Haggard song together.
He knows every country song ever written.
He's a jukebox. He's so incredible.
Yeah.
And
And he told us about crank some records out. That dude he'll make 2 or 3 a year.
yeah,
And he'll go like to London and make one with some random dude in England and then go to Australia and make a record. He's like, what the hell are you doing? I guess he just likes to go make records other places. I don't know.
some people just love that studio time, man.
He's an interesting couple of fellas, old Jim is.
Oh, he's
He
awesome.
told me one time back in the 90s, when people was really making just shitloads of money writing songs. Everybody was selling millions. If you had a platinum record and only sold 1 million, they'd drop you. It's like everybody was just selling millions of records. And he had a huge draw at this company, and he said, I was just recouping off of just album cuts, with Dixie Chicks and stuff like that. And him and his girlfriend went somewhere. He lives here in town in Nashville, but they went downtown at the Hermitage Hotel or something and spent the night and liked it so much that they stayed for a year in a hotel in the town he lived in.
That's like some Rolling Stones stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of
man.
rock. He's kind of rock and roll.
Wow.
Jim is a rock and roll dude.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Enough about Jim Lauderdale. This ain't his damn. We ain't talking about Jim all day.
Yeah, screw Jim Lauderdale.
Jim Lauderdale.
Screw one of the greatest country songwriters.
Singer-songwriters of all time.
I met Tennessee Jet through Jim Lauderdale.
I've never met Tennessee Jet.
Are you kidding me?
No, never have, huh?
Oh,
TJ,
man.
where you at?
I would love to see you guys go back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay, so that got me thinking about just this thing. What happened? Because you were obviously you got in on the kind of the tail end of that
Yeah.
era, but I think what happened to songwriting like that?
The machine.
Yeah,
Something happened. There was a pivotal point.
Yeah, but why? I don't understand why. And like
I
I
don't
said,
either. I don't either. But I think maybe some of these people who started taking over labels wasn't necessarily Nashville people, wasn't necessarily country music people. They was bean counters from L.A. or New York, and all they look at is bottom line. How can we make the most money possible? And they've come from the pop world. It's a whole different ballgame. There's more money in the pop world. Everybody knows that. Most of the time, anyway. And somebody, I don't know, maybe the bro country thing started happening, and those boys, Florida Georgia Line, and I've known both those boys since they was in college. They both came to me, wanted to write a song, and I wrote a song with them, and nothing ever, came about it. Good boys. And I think if once they hit and their thing took off, and everybody's seen that happen, and they're notorious, Nashville is, for following other people, then everybody else tried to do what they were doing. And I think people wouldn't have got burned out on them near as quick if they had just left well enough alone. Let them guys do their thing, you do yours. There's room for everybody. If you look at the radio back in the 80s, we had Dwight Yoakam, Randy Travis, Lyle Lovett, Steve Earle. All this shit was going on, was happening, and was really cool, and everybody was completely different, and nobody tried to be somebody else, and it worked. And then we become a town of, that's working, let's all do that. That's why I quit writing songs for other people. I still write songs. I still write with Stapleton and Brothers Osborne, people, and Cody, people that I respect and like what they do. But as far as like writing songs and trying to, looking at a pitch sheet when I go to the office and see who's cutting and what they're looking for, nah, fuck that. I'm done with that. I just couldn't. I couldn't look myself in the mirror and write those kind of songs. So that kind of being able to just go and be a Harlan Howard, which most people wouldn't be anyway. But to just try to write great songs every day, they don't cut them anymore. They don't cut those songs, and there's a lot. They're still here. They just don't record them anymore, which sucks.
But Low Down and Lonesome, that was the beginning of it for you saying, I'm done with this.
Yeah. I watched Chris Stapleton on the 2015 CMA Awards, and I knew there was a chance for.
Well, you've known Chris
coolness
for a long time, right?
God, since he moved here. Yeah, I mean, we've written 60 songs together. And we had a lot of cuts. Josh Turner, Leanne Womack, Blake Shelton. We had a ton of cuts together, just writing songs together. And he was always that guy, too. He never chased anything. He would just write a song, and he'd sing so good. People thought if they recorded his songs, they could sing them like him, which it's never going to happen, obviously.
No.
But yeah, when he played that night, it was like, all right, there is room for somebody who don't look like everybody else, who's not young, who don't wear tight pants, who don't sing about cutoffs and tailgates and bonfires,
Yeah.
And I called Keith Gaddis. He was the first guy I thought of. We're old friends, written songs together, and I heard some stuff he had done. Obviously knew he's a great guitar player, played with Dwight Yoakam for years. Great producer, just done really, I loved his records. They'd done on himself. So he was the first. Nobody else crossed my mind but him. And he was like, yeah, well, I'll cut a record on you.
Oh, yeah.
And shit, we had a blast.
That's awesome, man. Let's touch on your newer record again, though. Solid Gold Sounds.
I listened to this song yesterday, actually. The guys, but I listened to it earlier in the day, and I was listening to the record and just kind of going around, and that song did something to me where I had to actually go back and listen to it again.
Oh, nice.
It's the sound. It's, for me, I feel like that's a classic country sound.
That's what we're going for, yeah.
And for me, it was heartache and heartbreak.
Sure.
And one thing that hit me when I was is nobody writes like that anymore.
Well, I know. Why?
And to interject the heartache and heartbreak, the song "Hold On," dude, that's a tearjerker.
Yeah.
I like tearjerkers.
I do too. Yeah. And people don't put enough of those on records anymore.
Right. And when we was making that record, that's what he said. He said, let's do some songs that girls and other people besides, stuff that don't make you want to stop at Stuckey's and start a fist fight, let's do some love songs, some people don't do love songs anymore either,
No.
Is there a reason for that?
The hell they want to dance, they want that thump and that bass kicking in people's face. And, I go play these festivals and it's like a DJ steps off stage and then we get up there and we don't, like you guys, we don't have any tracks whatsoever. What you hear is
coming off
the guys. Is the guys playing on stage, my band, and when we make a mistake, we make a mistake. There ain't no track to cover it up.
Okay, so because of that, is that why you're going this direction now?
Absolutely, I hate that shit. It's just like, I want to do real music that stirs emotions. That's what music's about. Not just sitting there feeling that bass like you're in a dance club. I want real music. Stuff that I want to drop a needle on that first song and walk off and hear that whole side and flip that damn record over and do the same thing. And like everyone, it's a roller coaster. I want to hear ups and downs. I want to dance. I want to laugh. I want to almost cry. I don't like that.
Amen. That's the whole thing. That's what people come to live shows for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Take them. It is a roller coaster. I say that all the time. It's like you got to take them on a ride.
Sure.
It's like they want to go up and they want to go down and they want to feel. They're there for the rawest form of emotion.
Sure.
I remember how it felt, in just being a music fan, and all of us sitting here obviously are music fans. That's why we're all sitting here. But when you went to a show and you could feel the kick.
Yeah.
Like feel that thing, dude, and it's like, it's up there. And, if, as long as the music's good, lyrics are good, got a good song.
You go to a Haggard show and man, you hear, think I'll just stay here and drink. Then they turn around and hear Misery and Gin. It's like, man, it's a roller coaster. It's like your party. And then you're like, damn, that hurts.
I remember standing on a chair at Billy Bob's in Fort Worth when I was 19, drunk off my ass, slinging my long neck Bud Light bottle.
You have a fake ID?
No, I'll tell you how that happened though. Just with tears rolling down my face, having a moment.
Sure.
You know, that was my wife surprised me with Merle Haggard tickets, and just remember
When you was 19, so you was with. You know, that's another thing. I was hoping that would come up. I think when we first met, that was a big camaraderie between me and you.
Yeah.
We have both been with the same women since we were kids.
Yeah, we've talked about that
Yeah.
on several occasions.
Yeah, and it's rare.
It is
in
rare.
this,
yeah, you
in
and
this
Randa
business.
have been, and I know your wife, and you've met mine as well, and they're both just the most lovely.
Tolerant
Tolerant is a
Tolerant ladies.
great
Yeah,
word for
Yeah.
both of them.
yeah, it is. I've been with Randa since 1986.
86.
I was
Wow.
16. She was 15.
Okay, yeah. Me and Rebecca. It was
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think that's
Thank you.
amazing.
Well, it ain't nothing for me.
Woof.
It was her
It's all her.
putting up with me. You know.
no, and it's an identical parallel. We've been together
Yeah.
since '97. I was 16. She was 15.
Yeah. See, there you go.
So yeah, it's funny, man. Because it does work. It does happen. It's a rarity.
Yeah, it is very rare. Yeah.
It is a rarity.
Not that she don't get pissed at me. She's probably pissed at me right now.
Mine was pissed at me earlier this week. So I
There you-
mean,
Yeah,
it,
and I don't blame her.
It
It happens.
you can't. It does. It does happen.
It's all them hormones they deal with, man.
I don't know about that, but it's just we're probably the hormones they're dealing with most likely. Like,
So I want to go back to one thing real quick while y'all are talking about why didn't y'all like each other? Why didn't you want to like him at first?
Because he's so good, and he was from Nashville, and
I like how you threw that in there.
right. No, I'm glad you brought that back up. I met him through Ward Davis. I was down working. I don't
cutting
remember.
the record.
We were cutting
At Omni.
at Omni.
Oh, I bet we were finishing
We were
up
finishing
I'm Not
up
the
Devil. We were finishing up Devil.
That's what
at
we were
Omni.
doing.
And there's a bar. It's winners and losers, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. It's
All right, I
two
didn't-
bars
I
sitting
didn't
right
make
side
this
by
bar.
side. And Ward came down, and he was just hanging out in the studio, and we were working on I'm Not the Devil, so he was down there, and he said, "Hey, let's go grab a beer at this bar." I don't know if it was the winner side or the loser side.
I think we hit both of them.
Yeah.
We was winners and losers
We
that
were
day, probably.
we breaking even. It's all you
Yeah.
can hope for, right?
Mm-hmm.
We walk in, and there's some people, and everybody in Nashville knows Ward, and most of them know him as a guy who knocked a guy out. That's a different story. He said, "Oh, hey, there's Kendell Marvel. You need to come meet this guy. He's a good one." And I was like, "Yeah, cool, whatever, man." Yeah, we go over, end up having a couple beers and shooting the shit and all that. And then some time went by, and I ended up playing your
The honky tonk
the
experience.
honky tonk
Yeah.
experience. And you still have that going on, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, we're only doing it 3 times this year. But
Well,
yeah,
let's go ahead and promote that real quick.
Yeah.
we'll do one in April and then
Okay.
September and December.
Awesome, man.
Here's a fun fact for people that didn't know. I love this story. You still drive the same truck that you wrote your first song.
We just rode over here in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
yeah.
awesome.
Oops.
Does the truck have a name?
No, it should. I
Gary.
used to
Gary
name.
should call it
Oh, Gary.
I used to name all my. I had a tractor, and I'd name it a song, bought a farm, it's just like I'd name it all this shit, and but yeah, I mean that was the first. I wanted a pickup truck, and I liked them. It was in 2000. I bought me a new Toyota Tundra King Cab 4-wheel drive. And 20 years later, my wife's still on my. She'll be like, "Why don't you go buy a new truck?" I was like, "Because there ain't a damn thing wrong with that one."
Nope.
Runs like a top. It looks a little rough. I beat the hell out of it. It's got dents in it and duct tape on the armrests.
It does. Duct tape, armrest. I do. I remember the first time I saw that truck.
I came over to that house.
You came over to that house. We had an Airbnb. We were over in a nice
Belle
part of-
Mead. You some Belle Mead, man.
Golly,
We
that
were
house was
in
huge.
Belle Mead. We shouldn't have even. We were staying in a
Surprised they even let you drive through there.
9,000 square foot mansion.
Was that big one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it was nice.
I stayed in the
You
pool
stayed in the
house.
pool house. The pool
Okay, I
house
remember
itself
that
was
one.
bigger than most houses I've ever lived in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, it was insane. So Kendall and I set up a writing appointment. I hate the word writing appointment. Kendall and I were going to write. So he
I'd
comes.
seen
up-
you the night before, and you said, "You said write a song. Let's write one tomorrow." And he was like, "I'll call you when I get up."
Yeah,
Me and Josh Morningstar. Me and you and Josh Morningstar.
that's right. Yeah, me and you and
Yeah.
Morningstar were sitting there
Yeah.
drinking that day.
can
And so the
tell the
next day you came over and pulls up in this truck, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself,
I thought this guy was successful.
No. I remember thinking to myself, I know this motherfucker's made more money than that.
I want to keep it that way. Nobody wants to steal that thing, man. You can leave the keys in it.
You wanted to dive back into the record.
Yeah, I really do. So your latest. So when did you start recording the record? Because it came out.
It came
in
out
October of
2019.
Okay.
We recorded in December of 2018.
Okay.
You recorded here?
Yeah. Dan Auerbach's got a studio here called the Easy Eye.
Okay. So let's just start there. So we have Auerbach.
Auerbach. I always say Auerbach, but yeah, it's Auerbach. Yeah.
So
From the Black
Dan,
Keys. He's an Akron, Ohio native.
He is, yeah.
Yes, which we were there last night.
We played Akron,
Oh, is that
Ohio
right?
last night.
Yeah, we literally Goodyear
There's some
Theater.
music up in Ohio, man. They dig it.
Oh, we just spent 3 days there.
Yeah.
And also David Ferguson, right?
Yeah, Dave Ferguson, yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Who Dave introduced me to Dan. Clay Bradley introduced me to Dave. And Dave's exact words was, he's like, man, I like your sound. He said, I'm working with Dan Auerbach on a lot of stuff. He said, I don't take a shit without asking Dan. That's how much I respect him. And Dave, hell, he's doing Tyler Childers and Sturgill. And like I said, he ain't no slouch. He done all the Johnny Cash stuff with Rick Rubin, the Hurt and all that stuff. So, the guy worked for Cowboy Jack Clement for years, was his engineer. Sharp dude.
So because I was reading some stuff before, so Dan, or you and Dan talk, and he expressed interest, and you're like, hey, have you listened to my record? And from what I gather, he's like, I really don't give a shit what you did before.
He didn't say that, but basically that's what he meant.
But that's what he meant, because that's what
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, here's what I think. I think we should make a Glenn Campbell, Charlie Rich meets Waylon Jennings record.
Okay, which is okay. I'm glad you said that, because to me, that's what I consider country music.
Oh, me as well.
Great melodies,
Yeah.
great stills, and very conservative production around it.
Sure. Well, let the singer do his thing, and the band just added, that's just added stuff.
Okay, so, and that's why I feel like have been blessed with working with Cody for so long. It's all about the vocals.
Absolutely.
And I think Dan did a really, really, really great job. Because like I said earlier, I thought you were just kind of this guy that just, you had some good vocals, and you can go out there and
sure rock them out.
But man, they did something with you, and you did it in 3 days.
Yeah, we wrote the.
How the hell did that happen?
Well, we wrote 15 songs. We cut 17. We wrote 15 songs in a couple days. And
so you did a little writing there?
I done all the writing at Dan's studio, and then we tracked it.
In those 3 days?
And we wrote for either 2 or 4 days. We done 2 a days. Oh. It was 4 days. We wrote the record in 4 days, and then we tracked it. We've done the record in 3. Yeah.
You wrote the record in 4 days?
Mm-hmm. That's what happened.
We actually wrote 15. There's 7 songs we cut that didn't make the record. We just couldn't narrow it down. But yeah, it was a new spark for me. I was kind of in a dead zone. You know what I mean? I was kind of just wasn't feeling very creative and not writing really good songs.
When you just kind of quit the songwriting aspect.
Well, no, I was still trying to do it. I was still trying to write songs, but I just didn't have no desire to really. I was kind of phoning it in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got with him, and it was just a new spark. He's just such a melodic guy. He's more, when we wrote anyway, he was more melody driven than he was lyrically. But his melody, he's such a great guitar player. And even more so than that, he goes back in on those records and plays a lot of stuff. We tracked that live. The vocals were live. All that stuff was going down at the same time. But then he would go back in and add, the strings and do some other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
But the band, the core band, and the vocals was all at the same time.
Potatoes, which is usually about 80% of the record, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Was done in 3 days.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Including vocals.
Every day, at the end of the day, they I don't know what it is. They have their rig up there. They have the engineer, Alan Parker, and have Dave's Ferguson spot and then Dan's spot. And they have these little black boxes. I'm not even sure what they are, but they're...
There might be the truth in there.
Maybe. But they're mixing...
That deserves a...
They are mixing the whole time. So at the end of the night, those songs, you know, by the time we get done tracking, those songs are 80, 90% done and mixed. You know, it's like everything's
That's
pretty well
ridiculous.
sounds
That's
like
a
the record.
really great idea, though.
And yeah, I mean, he's on something over there. You know, he just done John Anderson's new record, which I love. Ooh. He done Yola, which is rocking right now. I mean, she is. You know, she was just up for a bunch of Grammys. I mean, she is killing it. A guy named D. White, he's doing a bunch of really cool, bunch of really neat shit right now. I mean, and his just sound is just unique. You know, it's just a unique throwback. Every piece of gear he has is vintage. Nothing is new. It's all old. All of his guitars, all of his amps, all of his board, everything he works with is just vintage equipment.
Kind of like the ranch.
Yeah. So do me a favor. Name the players, at least the key, the drape, because I think those guys always need recognition.
Absolutely, and I'm sure I'm going to leave some of them out.
I mean, like I said, just your main bass drum.
Dave Rowe,
Okay.
was bass player.
Say that again.
Dave Rowe,
Okay.
yeah, great player. Bobby Wood played keys. Bobby's been around for, you know, he played on Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues, and you know, all the classic stuff. All these guys did. Gene Chrisman is the drummer. Russ Paul played guitar and steel. And Russ was probably the youngest dude in the band, which is funny as shit to me. And Russ, and I've used him on demos forever, you know, around here. Mike Rojas played some keys on it. Billy Sanford, who is Russ's father-in-law, he played the lick to Pretty Woman. You know,
Wow.
so I mean, but these guys, he played on. Oh, you sure Hank done it this way? I mean, he's probably one of the most recorded guitar players of all time. You know, even more so than Reggie Young, I would think. You know, guys who've classic sounding guys who played on so many hits. And I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out, but
Yeah. So were those guys involved in the when you guys were writing process to be there?
We wrote "Let It Go" with Bobby Wood, who
Okay.
played keys, who'd written a lot of songs in the past. But I think he was the only guy in the band that I wrote a song with.
So when
I
y'all
wrote with
guys,
John. I wrote "A Hard Time with the Truth" with John Anderson and Dan. Wrote a lot of stuff with Pat McLaughlin. I don't know if you know Pat. Pat used to play with John Prine. Been around forever in the Cowboy Jack camp. You know, just a badass guitar slinging machine. Ronnie Bowman, who's a big bluegrasser here in town, who's fantastic. I wrote a couple things with him on there. Big Al Anderson from NRBQ, the New Rhythm and Blues Quartet, one of the top 100 guitar players of all time, according to Guitar Magazine. So it was a lot of really good musicians. You know, that all the guys we wrote with, I don't really want to play guitar around them. You know, it's pretty embarrassing to pick up a guitar around those people.
So I mean, obviously, the product that that y'all came out with, I assume that you're very, very pleased with.
Oh yeah, I was just above and beyond. I mean, it was more than I ever dreamed it'd be. You know, and I was hoping it wouldn't alienate the fans I made with Low Down and Lonesome. And there's still enough of that grit and, you know, in your face, punch you in the eye stuff. I think I'll make some fans that I wouldn't have got with Low Down and Lonesome with that record.
Oh,
so
I completely agree.
I'm totally thrilled, and we're getting a lot of really cool stuff this year. And I had some really good advice from Stapleton. I toured with Stapleton, you know, in the fall, and he came out of nowhere, and he's probably more rock and roll than rock and roll people. You know, Chris is.
Yeah.
And his advice
hell yeah,
was, you know,
he
he's
is.
like, play these. Instead of all these mainstream country festivals, he said, play these rock and roll festivals where you're at the small tent over by the shitters, and you'll be the most rock and roll
And you're
dude there.
drawn-
And you're the country guy, and you'll be the most rock and roll guy there. Go play those with those obscure people that you don't know who they are because they're a different kind of music. They're rock, and he's like, that's where you're going to make diehard fans.
He's absolutely right. 'cause
Yeah, and he is. Yeah, and we're playing a lot of those this year, and I'm super excited about it.
hell yeah, man. You should be.
Yeah,
Because that's usually where I was.
yeah.
You know?
Now, if I could just get on a Cody Jinks tour, I mean, shit, you know, I've been working on that. For hell, I had to sign with True Grit just to even get considered.
just to sit down with
just
him.
to sit down with him.
You know, and people think that I have a lot more pull on that than I do.
Oh, I know who pulls the strings, and I've been leaning on him.
Yeah. But
I know who the puppet master is.
I tell you what, man, I'm like, I'll get a text from all my friends that I love and write with and I've played with and toured with. And it's like, hey, you know, if we can, you know, get on this string of shows, or can we get on some shows, you know, something. And I'm like, I want to tell everybody, like, just, yes, let's just take this, like, everybody, let's just go.
A package show.
And it'll be the most dynamic. We'll have to do, some obscene stuff. I don't know what we'll have to do. We'll have to do 2 shows a day to get everybody in. I don't know. I would love to do that, but we can't do that.
I get it.
But it's
well, hell with everybody else, the way I look at it.
But, to screw everybody else, put me on a damn Cody tour.
Exactly.
No, we are. I would love to. And I've talked with Arthur.
Sure.
About that.
Yeah, I'm just giving you shit. I know.
I know.
It'll happen.
But that's what you do. That's what you do, man.
It's going to
just
be
give
fun.
me shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, somebody's got to do it. Everybody can't be your yes man. Somebody has to tell you that the way it is. That your hands are really small.
There's way too many people kissing Jinks' ass.
Exactly. Ward being one of them. He's the biggest ass kisser. He'll every time he tweets something or Facebook something, it's Cody Jinks, blah blah. I was like, what? And I'll screenshot it and send it to Jinks and Ward and Art. And be like, what makes a man to be this big of a suck ass? I just can't. I don't get it.
It's what you said before. He's like the cat that you accidentally fed.
He's like an old stray cat. You feed him, and he just hangs around, and he never leaves. I've known Ward Davis a long. We were
that's how we met. That's how we got back. That's how we got back to this.
As much shit as I give the guy, I love that dude. Yeah. I met him. I think he had a publisher at the time, and I guess they introduced us, and I don't even remember who introduced us, but. Yeah, we wrote some songs together and had a lot of fun. And I had been there the notorious Punch Day.
Yeah, we won't get into that. We've talked about it.
And it was, I hate that I left that day. I wish I could have seen it. 'Cause I know the guy who punched well.
Yeah.
And I've actually seen him a couple times. I ran into him at a BMI event here, after show party thing. And
well, he ran into a Ward Davis.
And he said, hold that door, cocked off. And we're friends. And he cocked off about something. I said, and he was with a bunch of his cronies. And I said, don't make me Ward Davis, you. And the color just drained out of his face. He did not like it whatsoever. It was funny as hell.
Did you really?
And they all died laughing.
Oh my goodness.
And he was just like, that ain't cool. I'm like, that was cool as hell, actually.
That's fantastic.
But he's my buddy too, so I can say shit like that.
Yeah, you can talk. You got the time with him. You can talk some shit.
Oh yeah,
I love it. Well, instantly, I guess the shit talking comes natural. Ward Davis introduced us, so.
Sure. And he's a shit talker, too.
Gosh. Well, and sometimes
a pretty good one.
He'll beat you home. We were talking about that. We'll talk about that earlier, man. It's like
I'm not giving him my address.
He's like,
yeah, you don't want to do that.
When are you going to be home? I'm like, when I come home the 27th, He's like, all right, I'll be there on the 27th. A couple different occasions I've come home and Ward Davis has been there before me. We're going to write for a couple of days. We always write some good songs.
Hell yeah, write some good songs, get him out of there.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. Is like, I know he just wants a couple tunes, let's write him so he can get on down the road.
No, man, about 2 days of being away from civilization, he's ready to go back.
I bet he is. I mean, he's a road dog, man. He's out there working hard.
He is, man. The last couple of years, he's been hitting it really tough. I remember he called me, sometime last year, and he said, broke down again and blah, 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 and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I said, all that shit needs to happen to you about 10 more times before you call me bitching about it.
Exactly. You had to bait him out of jail lately?
Not since Hays, Kansas.
Hays, Kansas.
He'll
Notorious.
beat you home, but you beat him to the jail.
He beats me to my house, but I beat him to the jail, yeah, in Hays, Kansas. No, he hadn't been back that I know of.
They probably won't have him back.
God.
Oh, I thought you meant in Hays, Kansas. You mean in jail? Okay,
yeah, I meant both of them.
Yeah.
They probably don't want him back either place.
Did you grow up like living in the same place? Did you do a lot of moving around? How did that work for you?
Growing up as a kid?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I stayed same place my whole life. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Southern Illinois?
Southern Illinois, yep.
Where at?
So even after
out
you
in the country,
graduated?
a little place called West End. It was in between Thompsonville and Glacier.
Because everybody knows where the fuck
well,
those
yeah,
are at.
Glacier's 900 people, Thompsonville's 600. You don't know where it's at?
No, Please expand.
Chicago.
I need you to zoom
long,
out.
long damn way.
I need you to zoom
It's
out
about
on the map.
35 miles north of Paducah, Kentucky.
So
I still need more.
Carbondale, Illinois. Marion.
I know
Carbondale's SIU.
I know Carbondale and Paducah.
I've heard
Yeah.
Paducah.
Paducah, yeah.
Carbondale's SIU. It's college town. I seen Hank Jr. there. That's what
Okay.
he's famous for. Played, they had the SIU arena. That was a lot of good concerts.
So what kind of home was it? A single story, 2-story?
Well, I grew up in a regular house. My parents got divorced when I was 14. It was a weird year. My house burnt. Our house burnt. My oldest brother got killed, and my parents got divorced in the same year.
Oh my God!
So it was a rough year for a 14. I was the youngest kid.
About to say,
at that time. And then I lived with my dad, and after our house burnt, we built a pole barn, and we lived in a metal building with one window and a dirt floor for a long time, and then finally made enough money to concrete it, and it was right uptown.
Wow.
So I had if I could dive into my dad's stories. I mean, my dad he's still around, still wild and crazy as ever, but it was an interesting
So those
childhood.
formidable years were around just you and your dad.
Yeah. My mom. I mean, she was still present in my life.
yes,
at that
for sure.
she passed
But
a couple of years ago, but she was present in my life. Yeah,
You lived with him.
I lived with him, and he from the time I was 10 years old till I moved out. I mean, it was like I'd go play in bars, and he'd get free beer, and I'd get beef jerky and pickled eggs and tips. So he always had me in honky tonks, and as weird as it was as a kid growing up that way, it definitely helped my music.
When did you start that?
When I was 10 is when I started going out and playing.
No, are you serious?
Yeah.
You didn't do your homework.
I didn't go back that far.
Yeah.
I knew that. I might should have brought it up,
Yep,
though.
I should have too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, this is
done
good
that.
information to know.
And he was like I
I
said,
don't want to go too far into research.
No, you're doing great. This
it's
is
funny
awesome.
because I'm notoriously known around Nashville. They'd say, "Tell us some stories about your dad." And we'd talk about my dad. And
Yeah, no, that reminds me
Wow.
of. I remember my dad one time he was working up underneath one of my trucks. I had an old '87 F-150, and I don't know what he was doing up under there because I'm not mechanically inclined.
nor am I.
Yeah, and my dad's working transmission shop since he was like 13 years old, so he knows a little bit. And he's up there and he's working. He's got his arms stretched out, and his belly was kind of hanging out the bottom of his shirt,
I wouldn't know anything about that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't either. So I was looking, I saw this like weird looking little round scar, and I was like, Dad, it's like, what happened? He's like, what happened? What? I was like, what happened right there? And belly. There's a scar. He was like, which one? It's like, this round one.
Did you have to touch it for him to know which one it was?
That one.
Is that what he's basically making you do? Touch it.
And he goes, oh, I got shot. I was like, you got shot? Yeah. What kind of gun was it? He goes, I didn't stick around to ask him.
I was with my dad when he got shot in 1986. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he was dating this barmaid, and I liked her because she had a nice car, and she'd let me drive her car, and they had a very rough relationship. It was like arguing, fighting all the time, and drinking and acting a fool. And we was all at the bar one day, and she left us up there, and my sister lived in that town. He said, call your sister. Tell her we need to borrow her car. We got to get home. She's down there cleaning me out and stealing all of his shit. And so I got my sister's car and drove down there and drove home. And sure enough, she had a trunk full of guns and had loaded it all up, was cleaning them out. And he said, son, take those guns in the house. And he was arguing with her, and he said something to her, and he had a 38, and he stuck it in his back pocket, and he was like, get out of here. And he turned his back on her, and when he turned his back on her, she grabbed it out of his back pocket, shot him 3 times, and shot at me, and we just filled the driveway. We had some holes in the driveway and just like filled it up with some big brick, some busted up rock. And so I started chunking them rocks at her and getting her attention enough where I could sneak over there and grab him up and put him in the car. And shit, she reloaded, got behind us, chased us down, hanging out the windows like the Starsky and Hutch. Shot at us on the way to town. And it was pretty wild.
Sounds like a
About
song.
killed
No
him.
wonder he sings like he
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Wow, man.
God.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Have you?
I saw shit like that all my whole life. My dad, he was a brawler. He'd go out and fight all the time, every weekend. I mean, he was a coal miner, welder, and barroom brawler. He'd go out, if he couldn't find somebody to fight, he'd fight Maverick, his nephew, which was a few years younger than him. And he beat the hell out of poor old Maverick. Maverick's a good old boy. But, he knocked Maverick's teeth out.
Maverick
And
was
all of
hoping
his
he
front
found
teeth was gone. And then Dad bought him false ones, at least two times I know of, and knocked them out too. And Maverick he'd get a few in him, and you'd see him over in the corner, and Maverick start doing that. And Dad'd be like, don't you start that shit, Maverick. And he'd beat the hell out of him. Wear him out.
My dad had a friend named Larry that they had that kind of relationship.
It's weird as hell.
It's weird. It is weird because my dad was that guy too. And yeah, shot and stabbed and all that.
Sure.
All that good shit. But he and Larry were on their way home from a bar one night and they were both drunk. And Larry was talking shit. He said, Steve, I can whip your ass. And my dad's like, you ain't whipping my ass. He's like, shut up. You're drunk. You can't whip my ass. Like, just keeps going down the road. I can whip your ass. Dad's like, I'm not going to tell you again, you can't whip my ass or I'm going to get out this truck and beat you. I think I can whip your ass. Dad said, you say it one more time, I'm going to break your leg and roll you down the hill. They're driving, stops, gets out, pulls him out the truck, breaks his leg, rolls him down the hill.
Damn.
Left him?
I'm glad I don't
No, and then he
took
stood
him
up
to
at
the
the top of the
hospital.
hill and it's like, shit, I got to get this dumb bastard back up
I got
this
to pack
hill.
him back
Did
up
I
there.
at least break your leg like I said I was going to?
Dad had a couple cousins, Dallas and Don, and they was just old boys that went to town about twice a year. Shade tree mechanics, always work, could fix anything. And I was playing this place in Pittsburgh, Illinois, called the Pit Stop one time. Went out there, and it was the early '80s. I was probably '83, somewhere in that area, because we had a pretty new Chevy S10, and we bought it in '82. I'd always ride in the back of the truck, had the sliding windows open, and Dallas and Dom was sitting there, and Dad was driving. Dad always had the 1022 behind his seat. Always carried a Ruger behind his seat. And on the way home, Dallas was sitting in the middle, and he was a little ornery, and he was about 10 years older than Dad. It was his cousin. He'd reach over and he'd turn the key off, and he'd lock your steering wheel and he'd turn the key off. And he'd done that about twice, and finally Dad just elbowed him just dead in the nose, just hard as you could, right in the face, just bam, nailed him, and started the truck back up and pulled that 1022 Ruger out and made me hold it, put one in the chamber. I put it on safety. I scared it was going to go off. He said, if he even looks at that steering wheel, shoot him. He said, and after you shoot him, shoot Don too, because he'll be witnessing it. And I was like, of course, it scared me to death. I was 12, 13 years old. And them son of a bitch just didn't move a muscle.
Has he met Billy Don Burns?
They didn't. God. I have not met Billy Don
Oh
Burns.
my
I have
goodness!
not.
I think you two could have some.
This is a Billy
great
Don Burns
stories.
type story, yeah.
Oh my Lord!
This is
That's
crazy.
funny. Stapleton, I'll go out on the road with him, and all of his people will be like, man, tell us about your dad a little bit. Because I tell Chris these stories. And he showed up at a show when we done back in the fall. Dad didn't. I text Chris. I said, my dad's here looking for it. And he was like, oh, no. Oh, no. Don't tell him what room I'm in.
What's really funny is I just started off with the question, what type of home were you raised in?
Well,
and I
you
thought
one.
it was really funny.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, what if he actually takes it as a physical question of like, well, single story?
It works. We just got some of the best stories of the day out of that.
So, Kendall, we always ask this question, either me or Cody or Josh. Is there anything that you travel with that somebody would find weird in your bag? Like, is there anything when you leave that you always pack? Somebody would be like, man, why do you have that?
Well, Guillermo, let me think on that for a second.
Other than that big black dildo,
Well, you don't travel on those?
Well, you
I had to
used
stop. I kept getting flagged at TSA.
Probably not. I mean, I don't know that I travel with anything weird. Yeah, not that anybody
What
else.
have you got stopped for that you forgot that you had?
I never, if I have something I shouldn't have, I don't forget I don't have it. Or I don't forget I have it type
I mean,
thing.
Cody forgot that he had 50 rounds of ammo one time. So, I mean.
I had a gun here now.
Oh, yeah. Bobby Keith
and
got
Bobby
popped
Keith
with a
forgot he had
9mm.
gun. Loaded.
Loaded
You
9
took the
millimeter.
rap, didn't you? You took the
They
fall.
put me in a
You the
room
fall.
that-
You the fall guy.
Yeah.
No, that
I was by myself.
No,
but-
he was by himself.
Yeah, they just put me in a room, asked me a bunch of questions. I ended up being able to get on my flight, but
Oh, you try to carry it on a flight?
Yeah.
yeah. I
Oh,
forgot.
well, that's ignorant as hell.
I know. It was
That's just
terrible.
sheer stupidness
It
there.
was terrible.
Cody as well. He was
Cody
trying to
got
get on a
I
flight.
got caught too. I tried to get on with.
They say it happens. They say they
That's
find.
not traveling, but like that. But we went to see one of my dad's childhood friends in Marion Federal Penitentiary
Oh, but this involves your dad.
with ammo,
so-
with ammo in the glove box,
Okay.
and they wouldn't let us in.
Damn.
And of course at the time it was the most secure prison in the world. It was where Falcon and the Snowman and Leonard Peltier was. At the time, so it was like John Gotti type shit. But besides that, no, I'm usually pretty. I check my bags. I've had to, especially in Alaska, I've had a couple buddies leave their bag up there and text me. It's like, hey, bring my bag back. And I'm going to go through their bag, bet your ass, before I put it on an airplane.
Oh, hell yeah. No, because that's a horrible it's a sinking feeling whenever your bag goes through and they go, whose bag is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
step over here.
Well, and in my case, I had a box of ammunition in my backpack that I forgot about, but I had a single 380 round in the pocket of my jacket. I don't know why. I just had it there.
Just that one in case things get bad.
Yeah, just that one, man.
Apocalypse.
That's it. Just that one. That last one for me. So
it's a weird feeling.
It goes through. He goes, I was like, I know what it is. I'm sorry, sir. I had that single 380 round in my jacket pocket. And he goes, yeah. And he was holding it up like this in his fingers. He goes, that's not that big a deal. And then he held up the full box
50.
of shells.
This is.
He goes, this is bad.
I mean, I've flown with some pot before, but a little bit of pot. Besides that,
Yeah.
Nothing they're going to put me in prison over.
No.
Guess.
Well, they're not worried about flying with pot anymore.
No, they're
Right.
not.
Yeah.
Especially with those.
But it was 6 pounds.
That's a little bit.
Not really.
Hey, we had a friend fly back a couple of years ago with the initials JP from Las Vegas.
John Party?
No, not John Party.
We do not know him.
Nope, not John Party.
Yeah, he had some.
And he had a whole shitload rolled up in his socks.
They checked the
And they
bag.
checked the bag.
They left him a note in the bag.
They left the TSA note in his bag.
Never found it. I mean, never
Wow.
messed with it. Didn't take it. Nothing.
Nothing.
They don't care about that shit. They're just looking for bombs. Stuff's going to tear up airplanes.
Yep.
So, I think before we wrap up, what do you have? Do you have any specific dates this coming 2020 that you want to?
Well, I'm doing a lot of festivals. A lot of it hadn't been announced yet.
Well, I mean, so-
Shaky Boots and a lot of cool festivals.
So where do people go to?
They go to my website, KendellMarvel.com. I'm sure.
KendellMarvel.com.
Same thing
It's
on
on
Facebook.
there. I'll be touring with Stapleton this summer. Yeah, me and him and Sheryl Crow and Hank Jr. is doing some stuff with us. And
Are you going to be part of that stadium tour that he's with Straight On?
I'm not on that one, but
Okay.
I'm doing this. We're doing Brave Stadium with me. And
Well,
him
so
and Hank
I
Jr.
guess since you know him, I assume he's. I mean, is he pretty stoked about that?
Who's Stapleton?
Yeah.
Well, hell yeah, he's stoked. Anytime he can play with George, who wouldn't be? If you're not stoked,
I mean, I just.
no shit.
I don't know what I don't
stupid
know what these
question.
people.
Man, that dude, I tell you,
think about
He hasn't
these
changed
people.
one bit. He treats everybody.
Sorry,
his whole crew of people that work with him are so pro. They treat people. He knows what it's like to be out there and bust your ass in a
good.
van, and he makes it where you don't.
I mean,
have
because
to.
he did it. I just
Sure, he's done it. So they treat people fantastic, and he wakes up every day. And I've asked him before. I said, "Does it freak you out? I mean, that you went from because I mean, he literally went from playing 200-seat clubs to selling arenas out overnight, and it was just like he said, I wake up every day and think I can't.
So it sounds like to me like it's not that he has to do that.
No,
because
not at
he
all.
could probably make more money doing his own. But because he got asked, he's like, because
George
it's
Strait.
George Strait.
Well, hell yeah. Who wouldn't do it?
That's all
Yeah.
I need to know.
I don't care how big you are.
That's a
love it.
no-brainer.
I don't care how big you are. You're
I love
never
it.
bigger than George
Beautiful.
Strait.
Beautiful,
So you're
beautiful,
playing
beautiful.
SunTrust Park in Atlanta? Baseball
Is that
stadium?
it? Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you're doing the baseball or football.
Baseball.
Awesome.
Kick ass, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, man. That was a
Damn
good
good
time.
time.
It's been great.
Hell yeah, man.
Thanks for coming.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
KendellMarvel.com. Kendall Marvel on Facebook.
Instagram.
Twitter at Kendall Marvel. Instagram, Kendall_Marvel.
Oh, you should probably spell Kindle out because it is a little
No, that's
weird.
how you're supposed to spell it.
Well, I know, but I didn't do it when I tried to Google you. So
Oh, well, see?
Let's go with
KENDELL.
There you go.
Kendell.
The way
Kendell.
the way
Kendell.
real men spell Kindle.
That's it.
No A's.
Well,
no
no
A's involved
Nope.
in that.
all vowels.
Marvel, just like the comic.
But here's the thing too, though. Kindle's not. I don't consider. All right, my first name is Meredith. So I mean, did you get?
Wait, did you just say
Did you get
So
shit?
your first name was Meredith?
You didn't know
Meredith,
this?
yeah.
I did not know that. No.
I mean, did you get shit growing up? Did people think Kendall was like a female name?
well, hell no, I'd beat the hell out of him.
Look at his
Have you seen
dad.
between the before and
Yeah, I
after?
mean,
of
you want
two?
to compare hand size again? I mean, you probably get the hell beat out of you. I did not.
I
No,
just
I'm
shoot
kidding.
your big ass.
But no, I did not know that was your name. But no, I don't ever recall getting any shit about my name.
Okay.
But I mean, small town.
Well, we'll just edit this
I knew
out too.
everybody.
I mean, then fuck it.
all this. It'll just be Kendell Marvel, Solid Gold Sounds. Go check it out.
There we go.
That's it. Hey, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. We had a blast. I know you're leaving tomorrow, but safe travels, my friend.
You as well, my friend.
And until we run into each other again, man, be good.
Adios.
All right, you're listening to A Couple In with Cody Jinks, Bobby Keith, Josh Thompson, our good friend Kendell Marvel, and we'll see you next time.
See you, buddy.
Thanks for being here.
See ya.